Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Brainstorming and its variants. This is chapter 6 in our course Creativity in Business. That chapter introduced one of the most famous techniques for creativity problem solving. The brainstorming is usually used in problem finding and idea finding stages of the creativity problem solving process we introduced, which has objective finding, fact finding, problem finding, idea finding, solution finding, and acceptance finding. We in the previous chapters talked about objective finding and fact finding tools, more than 10 or 11 tools we had. Now we have only one that is used in these two. The outline of the chapter: we will introduce the classical brainstorming, its rules and process, and then we have some discussions of the different variants, add-ons that can be used for brainstorming. Let's start with the classical one. Brainstorming is a structured tool, very traditional for creative thinking. It usually used with open-ended problems, simple ones actually. You cannot use brainstorming in highly technical, complicated, that is have many components problem or something like this. It relies on generating many ideas, okay, regardless of its quality. Suspending judgment mean that we postpone how good these ideas is, or to evaluate it later on. Our main concentration on quantity, not quality. So we have here a very important principle for brainstorming. It's called deferment of judgment principle, which is we postpone the evaluation of this. In brainstorming as well, we usually have a group of people generating ideas, and each idea or thought stimulate the other. So this is like a chain reaction technique for coming up with ideas. In our textbook we have 4 rules for brainstorming. Evaluate later. Our main concentration is on quantity, not quality, so we need some flexibility in generating ideas, and fluency, varieties of ideas, and different category ones. In brainstorming we encourage wild ones, not traditional ones, and we will have some variants that stimulate our minds by wild starters. The number 4 here, rule number 4, is build on other ideas. So we use the first thoughts to stimulate the others, and then later on we have some more elaboration for the ideas generated. The process of brainstorming, I mean how organized such technique when we use such technique. Okay, the session need to be planned beforehand. Usually we have members according to the text from 10 to 12, but it may be used by 8 or 7 from my experience. Yeah, they have to be briefed in the beginning. Okay, we need a leader and a scribe, the one that facilitate and write down ideas and so on. We need a room for that. We need a table or some convenient, pleasant environment for people to sit. Maybe it's better to have these such sessions away from work. So how it goes, I mean brainstorming sessions goes: first the leader or the client state the problem, okay, and then group redefine the problem in terms of in what way we might do something. Then client identify one or two relevant redefinition, and then after we select one of the redefinitions, that means that we have a problem here, okay, we begin to find ideas for solution. So we select the most appropriate idea and we evaluate it, and then we move to the next stage in the creativity process, problem solving process. Let's have an example. How to decrease production times. So the problem here could be how to increase the use of computers, okay, instead of saying production time. So we know from discussions that it's a problem of automation or something. We may redefine the problem to how to improve the efficiency of the workforce. So the problem is not about automation, it's about that people are not so productive. How to generate flexibility. Another person may say how to replace batch production with continuous production. So we have some batch productions in cells and shops and something like this, and how we can move to some product line, automatic ones. By discussing these different redefinitions, they seem like alternative ones. So we select one of these definitions of the problem, and in our example here, taken from the text, the one selected is how to improve the efficiency of the workforce. So people sitting in this brainstorming session, they thought that the problem is in the workforce, not in computers and not in flexibility, or not in the production system we used in that. Okay, then after specifying, making a decision about what the problem is exactly, now we go to the brainstorming, the ideation stage. People may come up here with ideas. The first one may say that job sharing between departments, that would decrease the time and make work more efficient. Introduce performance related pay, so we relate the pay to productivity. Replace workers with computers, that is another one. Give workers superpowers, so this is another one, is to give them more power and decision making abilities. Now that we have 4 ideas, we can select one of them in the end, evaluating one of them in the end, and that would be the solution. You see, from this example, we are using brainstorming to come up with solutions. Brainstorming may be used only for the redefinitions that we had in the beginning, right? So in some situations we may need to exactly define the problem we would like to tackle here. May not go to the ideation stage. So ideas come in the redefinitions only. That was how we discuss what brainstorming is classically. Let's go to the variants. How brainstorming can be used with different ways. Variant number 1 is we may use what is called here wildest idea variant. So instead of asking people to come up with ideas, we ask them to come up with a dreamlike solution, some fantasy here to the problem. And then the group then correct such ideas till realistic one is found. Such wild one can be inspiring. They inspire others to think. This wildest idea, something that is really dreamlike or something really interesting one, may be used, or the wildest idea may be used whenever we have difficulty generating ideas. That could be a technique. So, for example, a problem could be reducing the amount of paperwork in the office. People sitting in the brainstorming, not able to find a solution. We may start by, the problem is, how do we do without all paperwork, not only reducing, right? Somebody may say that use email. So the fantasy solution could be without paperwork. It's like a dream. And then a realistic one is to use emails, or use WhatsApp, or use whatever system for messaging. So you see, wildest idea could be a dreamlike one, interesting one that spur or inspire people for coming up with realistic ideas. Number two, or variant number two, is using the stop and go brainstorming. It's a session divided into segments, and then we stop in some, we start the session and then we stop after some time, and then have rest, and then come back to enable participants to gather their thoughts, or to process what they have came up with in the previous sessions. So this is stop and go brainstorming. In some situations, we have sessions like this, and some people may be reluctant, or they shy, or they don't like to participate, or they wait, or something like this. So may have what is called here round robin brainstorming. We ask people to give their ideas in turn. Each one write down his or her ideas, and we have a turn here. Our ideas are obtained in this way until the session is complete. So if each and everyone will talk in some turn. So this is called round robin, and of course the first thought introduced affect the following one, and so on. So round robin is one of the techniques used to make sure that everybody talk in some sequence, not to allow those who can hug or free ride the session, or talk a lot, preventing other people to participate to do so. So round robin is a technique for that. Let's see variant number three. This is some another wild way for brainstorming. It's called Gordon Little variation. It tries to inspire people by making what is required is not obvious for people. The problem is not obvious. They hide the problem and give some tips about it, and start the session by something really interesting, something like come from the sky or something like this. So it's just avoid presenting the problem, right? You don't have the problem from the very beginning, and focus on some concept or some principle, right? Something in some abstract form, and let people speculate and dream with the first dream idea came here. So the leader reveals original problem to the group after that, or part of it. Let people give more inspirations. So using previously generated ideas for the abstract form as a stimuli, you see, and group generates specific ideas for the original problem after that. Let's have an example. You see, it's all inspirations like in pictures here. You give just a small key and give something dreamy like that. So introduce the problem in some abstract. For example, how to get something off the ground. This is not a problem. It's just something very broad. So people may reply to this by riding an airplane, attaching it to a balloon or something. So after having some funny, interesting comments like this, then the leader began to give some detail about the real problem. So after Ida is exhausted, the leader suggests the problem involves getting a new project. You see, it's about a new project. What project? You don't tell yet, okay? But it's about a project to get one project off the ground. So now people, when they brainstorm, they give specific ideas. So suggestion stage might include extensive consultation with everyone involved within the project. So that could be a solution. So when the problem is revealed in the end, suggestion might be usefully modified to the real problem we have in hand. And this dreamy, nice, funny starts make people come up with some interesting creative ideas after that. So this is what is called Gordon Little variant for brainstorming. We have another variant here. It's called treasure method. We have a problem statement revealed from the very beginning, and we give like 5 minutes for each one to introduce his or her ideas, and the second one provide ideas that is related to the one before that. So the first idea is considered as a treasure. Stimuli one. So one member of the group reads out his or her ideas. The ideas read out are discussed by everyone for about 10 minutes with the aim of developing ideas. So this treasure method actually includes some evaluation way in some order in the session, and then procedure continue by evaluating with the next member, and so on until all ideas have been discussed. And that is the treasure method technique. Now that we have finished all the techniques, all the variants, we introduce the classical, the wildest idea, stop and go, round robin, Gordon Little. We finished all the classical outline here we have, and in the end we have 2 points to discuss what might be the problems of brainstorming. It's clear that brainstorming is used for simple problems, not complicated one, not suitable for technical ones. It relies on random association, so it doesn't always produce original solution. Probably the one who talk in the beginning, okay, make all the session goes to what he said. So there is some bias for the first thoughts. It's like collective thinking or herding يعني قطيع. Brainstorming is not needs some good management. It may be misunderstood and not executed effectively because people are not trained to use it. So these are the main problems with brainstorming. In the end, we'd like to talk about online brainstorming, which is called brainlining, and it is interesting because now we have internet, and that these good communication networks available for each one can enable us to have sessions on electronic meeting, video conferencing, and all these Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and all those electronic meeting ones. It may enable us to have simple brainstorming. Also, we have software that is specialized in brainstorming that can be used and enable us to register and save categorize ideas, and so on. So in the internet or brainlining or online brainstorming, we have forum, internet forum. It's a group, and we have a moderator for this group. It's like the leader, right? And he or she announces a problem for the group and makes suggestions, and then brainliner makes another one, and then the moderator began to save and write down all the ideas, make them available for all of them, and continue moderators calls and introducing the idea till we stop the whole game of brain lining. There are some variants as well, and they all come like games, brain lining games, and there is software and sites available on the internet. You can use them. One is used for education and for children. It's called Alphabet Soup game. As you see here, we have people coming up with ideas based on letters. So moderator define the problem and suggest having ideas that start with a specific letter. So start with letter A, for example. Give me ideas that start with letter A. And then people began to give ideas suggesting using this letter. Then after that, after we ideas exhausted using this letter, we continue with another letter, and so on till the game stop. There is other games actually in brain lining. For example, there is something interesting called the Rock the Boat game, and it's a game as well, electronic one available on the internet. We start with an idea, and the second one that provide his or her ideas give something that rock the first one, oppose the first one. Okay, and then this from this oppositions some stimulation, some inspiration is spurred for the whole group. So this devil advocate, where this opposition could be a stimuli for the whole group. Another game we may use is called hot potato game, and here the hot potato is whenever somebody is giving an idea, he give the hot potato to the following one. So I finish saying my idea, and then I say Imad is the next one. So it's like giving him or her the hot potato. Then after Imad finishes, he say Fatma. He or she names the one that talk and give ideas after him or her. So let's read this. Moderators announces the problem, makes a suggestion, and names a brain liner, the one that comes first. The brain liner named builds on the moderator's suggestions, names another brain liner. This continue until moderator calls a stop to the game. The last slide we have in this review all what we said in the brainstorming. It just reminds us when do we use some variant over another. Whenever you have a team and everything is simple and so on, so use the classical brainstorming, right? Whenever you would like something that is not traditional, so use a wildest idea variant. Whenever you need more time for brainstorming to reflect, we need people to think, so use a stop and go. If you would like to make everybody participate, use a round robin. Okay, if it is unlikely that things could be obvious, not obvious, so use Gordon Little. Make things disguised, I mean not clear, obvious for each one. Whenever you would like to stimulate thought, use treasure. If you'd like to connect everybody in the same time while they are not in the same place, use the brain line. So that was the very famous technique for idea generation and problem finding stages of creativity, problem solving, brainstorming. Thank you.